So this is a quick overview of how to set up for exercise 2. The exercise 2 is now linked here with the worksheet. Let's open the worksheet. And then for this one, we're going to follow this new tutorial here. Now it's about reactive synthesis with spectra that we already looked into in the class. You need to install a different Eclipse because the Eclipse that we used for the EMF tutorial, it has some, in the latest versions, there's some incompatibility of two other plugins that the Spectra synthesis plugin relies on. So that's why until the plugin is fixed, which should be, I don't know, within the next few weeks, we will now use an older version of Eclipse. So here's the link. Now it's the Java and it's Eclipse for Java and DSL development. So it's linked here. You see, based on the URL here, it's one. So the latest is this one that we used before, and that's basically the 1 year before. That's the one we're going to use now. So here, pick the one, the package for your operating system. So for mine, it's Windows. And then, yeah, I'm going to download this. Then once that is downloaded and unpacked, we can start it. There's also a set of projects that we should import for the tutorial, but that's basically all explained in the videos. The videos are linked here in this playlist. So that's where it starts with the installation and import. We're just quickly going to do that step as well. And then you can follow these sections of the tutorial. They are each between, I don't know, 4 and 12 minutes or 16 here. So you can do them always. There's like a task and introduction, task, and then you will have the solution. So you can basically do some of them maybe now and then some of them a bit later. And that is the tutorial. So we need this update site to install things in our Eclipse once we download it. Yep, let's unpack this. And then we can start it. Just give it any workspace, doesn't really matter. And then we're going to install some software. So install new software. We can add this update site or simply paste it here. That's also going to work. We will install Spectra and the add-ons. Some of the add-ons are needed, so we're just going to install all of them. Except the license terms, I'm not sure. It's, well, just some standard license stuff. Then, as with most plugins, it will download it, and then it will ask us whether we want to install the unsigned content, which we would want to agree in this case, because otherwise we can't use it. Okay, now we're going to say install. Anyways, we trust it and restart. Yeah, so this is basically the setup for the tutorial, but we will use exactly the same setup also for the then homework. So again, there's this activity, learn spectra, controller synthesis, execution. So all these things in the tutorial. And then afterwards, the task that you will actually have to submit is to write a specification for your own reactive system, then it needs to be a Spectra specification. This already exists, so you just extend it in this file. 3 environment variables at least, then 3 system variables at least, then some initial constraints. So these can be either assumptions or guarantees. So you need 2 initial ones, either assumption or guarantees, or yeah, whatever you like them to be. Same for safety, same for justice, but you need to make sure that overall you have at least 2 assumptions and at least 2 guarantees. So you can't make all of them guarantees or just all of them assumptions. Then you need to ensure that the specification is realizable. So this might require some kind of debugging of your specification, as you saw in the tutorial, and also check that it's well separated. This might also require some analysis to run. And then you can synthesize a symbolic just-in-time controller and write the code to execute it. So this is something that it has been done here in this part of the tutorial. This was done for a graphical user interface and a textual one. So here, the code that I already copied here, this would be some templates to start from for the command line version. You can decide to do whatever version you like. If you want to integrate it, I don't know, into a web application, that's fine. But basically, the thing that you need to do, you need to write code to execute it. This doesn't have to be complicated. It can be very simple, very similar to the way you saw it in the tutorial, but of course has to be specific for the specification you have been writing here. So based on the variables you created, this will be the inputs and outputs, right? The environment variables will be the inputs here, and system variables will be the outputs there. Then there are some test cases. All test cases should pass for the submission, but there are some things that now the test cases are not able to test. For example, there's no way that the test cases can really test whether you are able to execute the controller. So that's something then that I would manually check on the submissions, and that you would manually check when you create your specifications and create this class here that executes the controller, just to make sure that everything works. So to do all this, you put it again in a template project, as it says here. This template project is this one, the submission template. Now just slightly larger because it has some library already inside. So let's import this as a project. Existing project into workspace. That's what we want to do from an archive file. And the archive file is let's see where the archive file went. Oh, maybe there's something wrong with the. No, that's not the one. Too many files. Yep, here is the archive file that we just downloaded. Let's see what it looks like. It needs to build it. I don't think it needs to install anything for it to run, but yeah, here it looks good. So let's see if we can run the JUnit tests. Okay, the specification file exists. System variables exist. Oh, I might have created some in the template. So yeah, just for testing the tests. So obviously that's not what it should be. So initially the tests, they should show failures, not errors, but failures. And one of them, that the model exists, this should of course be true, because that's exactly this file. Yeah, and that's it. So you will basically do write your own specification in this file with the requirements that are written on the worksheet. These ones, you will check stuff like realizability of the specification. So yeah, we would check spectra, check realizability, and this gives some output. As you saw in the tutorial, it's not doing anything if there are no variables, because then there's nothing to check for realizability. If for some reason you click on a spectra file and then these spectra and spectra add-ons, these menus, these extensions of the menu, they are not there, then you're very likely using one of the conflicting newer Eclipse versions. So the one that I'm using here is the one mentioned on the website, which is basically from a year ago. And until the plugin isn't fixed, the versions from this year are not going to work. So that's why you should use this other older version of Eclipse. And if you see that this one is, let's say, not showing you this manifest file in this editor, then the Eclipse that you installed is probably the wrong package that doesn't have the plugin development environment. So this package that we downloaded and that's shown in the tutorial, this has probably somewhere the Eclipse plugin development, I'm guessing. Not sure what's the name of this. I'm sure it's somewhere there. So basically, this PDE stuff. That's the org Eclipse PDE. Why did we not find it here? Not sure what name it has here, or maybe it's in one of the subpackages. Here it is, right there. Yeah. So Eclipse plugin development environment. So if you have the wrong package of Eclipse downloaded and you don't see this kind of editor for the manifest, then you might need to install this Eclipse plugin development environment later in your Eclipse. But the best thing is to download the linked package.